Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. Tonight we have with us Mr. Pat Mastroianni, aka Joey Jeremiah. And we have my co-host Matt. How are you guys
doing?
We're doing good. I just survived my 49th birthday yesterday.
Lies.
Is
it really? Oh, yes. Happy belated birthday.
That's all good. The wife and I literally just ate donuts and played video games all day.
That sounds like a party, man.
Oh, my goodness. That sounds good. Yeah. What kind of donuts did you have?
My sister-in-law had some fancy delivered donuts, like, to my door. They were all these really fancy, super fresh and flavorful donuts, but there were just all these different flavors of cinnamon and maple and chocolate, and just the fanciest donuts I've ever seen. And they're somewhere around. I want to finish them off this morning, but
So Pat, how many donuts got eaten? How many are they all gone?
Oh yeah, there's only like half a dozen, but I ate two. That was my birthday cake. Hey, that was my birthday cake, man. So I can eat as many as I want.
I get it. Once a year, it's totally cool, right? Yeah.
Wait, you have the same.
I love it.
The good thing about being home all the time is I try to be creative. So I wrote my autobiography this year. I worked on a documentary for the Palooza reunion that we had last year. Got that all out into the marketplace. So I was able to create some original content, which is nice considering my industry completely shut down for the better part of 2020. And even now, as the industry is reopening, my friends who are work behind the scenes, it's not a good, safe environment, unfortunately, for them. They're being very, very careful, but incidences are popping up. So I don't know what's going to happen. Now that the vaccine is here, hopefully, God willing, things can slowly start to get back to normal.
And it's interesting because Tom Cruise, there was recently a video that went viral where he was like using colorful language, but he was admonishing his crew saying, listen, they can't shut us down. This can't happen, which means you guys have to be obeying the protocol. And it's so frustrating. I mean, I come from a music industry background, and the entire live music industry is just, I know guys that are crippled. I'm friends with Lady Gaga's guitarist, and he's like, their entire tour was just grounded. Like, it's now what? Right. So,
and that just did all these independent, entertainment venues. That's what worries me. I mean, not only the small business people and everything with the shops and whatnot that are unfortunately affected, but even the small and not industrial, but independently owned music venues, entertainment venues. I have friends who are comedians and musicians as well. That's where they make their bread and butter. I mean, my friends who run giant comic conventions or pop culture shows. They have 30, 40, 50,000 people in a weekend that gather together to celebrate pop culture. And I don't see that happening or coming back anytime soon. So really what we're doing now is really the only way to interact with people properly. And we'll just have to hang in there and get through it together.
Yeah. For those of you listening, I know Pat from the talent agency I used to work at. So when he walked through the doors, I was like, oh my God, Joey Jeremiah.
That's not true. She would say, Mr. Mastroianni, please hold. Your agent to talk to you right now. So have a seat. And when they're ready to talk to you, I will, let you through and up the elevator. You can go. So 9 times out of 10, she would make me sit and wait for like an hour just to see my agent.
An hour?
At least. And then she'd be like, hey, so what you doing? I think that was just her way to
wait for an hour. Can you? Oh, your agent wouldn't make you wait for an hour. No way.
That's amazing. Pat, here's a question for you. I remember Christian Bale, after doing the Dark Knight series, came out and said, listen, I never want to be called Bruce Wayne or Batman ever again. Does it ever get tiring, man? Not being called Batman, but being called Joey.
No, dude, like for the last, since '05, since 2005, when I left the Next Generation series, I had a decade where I just went off and did my own thing. And I didn't even mention the word Degrassi or reach out to any of my co-stars and whatnot for almost 10 years. And then what happened was I got introduced to the convention world, and I started meeting hundreds of fans across Canada that were just blown away that the show meant so much to them. And kept asking me what was the other gang doing, what were they up to, and I honestly couldn't answer them because I hadn't kept in touch with anybody. I wasn't on social media, and so I slowly started to reach out to people, inviting them to join the tour that I was doing across the country to say thank you to everybody. And now it's a bit of an obsession because nostalgia is huge right now. I'm in the business of nostalgia. I celebrate the show. I celebrate my cast members. I celebrate some of the creators and people who work behind the scenes. I love it because it's allowed me not only to step backwards in time, but to reacquaint myself with people that were very dear to me growing up in those early teenage years that are kind of, they mold your personality and they shape who you are. And now my office is sort of cluttered again with Degrassi. So I've sort of embraced it again. But you know what? I know there will come a time when I will leave it alone and I will walk away and I will get back to what I normally do. But because of right now, the kind of industry that I'm in, I do pop culture events. I represent talent. I appear all over North America. I do speaking engagements. I do screening events. Now that I've got the documentary from the reunion, I'm doing screening events. That was what I was supposed to be doing this year, was appearing with Stacey Mistyshin, who played Caitlin, at venues across the country. But little by little, things will get back to normal. Right now, I'm just having a nice time. What's been lovely and to help pass the time is engaging fans on social media, creating these events online, and engaging with them, with fans of the show, and hearing their stories and hearing how the show helped them out through a difficult time in their youth. That's been, I think, a real honor for me, because back in the 80s and 90s, there was no social media. There was no way to engage like we're doing right now. We would maybe get the odd fan letter once in a while, or a media interview for like the Toronto Star newspaper or something, where they would praise the show, and that's how we would know that people liked it. But in terms of instant gratification from the fans, we never got any. Not like on stage when you do a performance and you get an applause. I had no concept of how many people watched the show or enjoyed it or what they took away from it. Now, as I'm meeting them in real life, that's when the conversation happens. That's what Degrassi Palooza, the 3-day event that I held back in 2019, that's what that was about. It was, we had 300 people that gathered at this event to meet 25 cast and crew and hear the stories and share our mutual experiences of what Degrassi meant to them. I could go on for forever about this, yeah. But what I mean is, like, the joy I get from hearing their stories and understanding a little bit better why Degrassi meant so much to them and why it still means something special to them today, as they're in their 40s or some are in their 50s. It was an old friend that they could rely on back in the day and learn and not feel like what they were going through, that they were alone, that there were other people out there like them that they could relate to. And I think a lot of people related to the characters of the show.
Yeah, so we were just talking about your character, Joey, and I just watched an episode and you broke Caitlin's heart,
You did.
Was this Schools Out, or was this an episode of just a regular show?
No, this is you when you were like the first season, and this is like grade 8 Joey. You're just starting off, and
How could you do that, man? How
She's
could you?
Delicate, that Caitlin. She's too sensitive.
Well, it's funny because you because you mentioned Schools Out. Sorry for interrupting you, but I hadn't done a deep dive into that until recently, and went back, and I was like that ended the show on it was a dour note. And it's funny because you make the comparisons. I have some quotes here from you about the comparisons between 90210 and Degrassi, which were both popular roughly around the same time. And when you go and you watch Schools Out, and it's like the last 20 minutes of this show ends in like complete chaotic destruction. And like, what happened?
Well, one of the writers that we had at Palooza answers that question rather nicely. I'll try to articulate it, but basically he said that Degrassi never wrapped anything up in a nice little bow. It was never meant to be this cute little sitcom that at the end of each episode, everything, ended beautifully and everybody walked away all happy. That there was always consequences for choices that were made by the characters. At the time that we shot Schools Out, everybody was moving on. Everybody was getting ready to go to university or do whatever that they were planning on doing. And even the writers and the producers of the show were kind of over the whole Degrassi thing. So I think they wanted to go out in a big bang. They were, let's kill somebody, that kind of thing. So it was a way that they wanted to end the show that made people go, holy crap, what the hell did I just watch? So I think because of the way the show ended, there was never any resolution. I think a lot of the fans who watched Schools Out went, what the hell happened to Wheels? What the hell happened to Caitlin? What the hell happened to Joey and Snake? And they wanted more. So because we didn't just continue the show or the series for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and the show just kind of died off, we were at our peak and the show was doing really, really well in the ratings. And Schools Out was just this one super awesome finale that people were just like, what the hell did I just watch? And then you had the F-bomb and all that other cool stuff. Yeah. But, early 90s, at the age of 19, 20 years old, it was very, very different television that we were doing with Schools Out. It would look so polished. It looked very Hollywood. And I really, really enjoyed that movie. And we celebrate it often because that's what started the whole Degrassi tour. It was the 25th anniversary of Schools Out. And that's when Stefan Brogren, Stacey Mistician, and Kirsten Bourne and I were screening the movie in theaters across the country. And people came out in droves to watch. It was awesome to relive it again through their eyes as they watched it in the movie theater. It was a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. We have for you Altered by Mom, A-B List Celebrity.
I have nothing left. My get up and go just got up and went. I failed the test so miserably. I'm completely out of time, like old chewing gum. It's come to be clear just what I've become, a B-list celebrity in the autograph line. A stronger man could maybe explain my journey in and out of fame. There was a time when I was your world, and now I am not. with lakes for eyes. You were looking through me, and a forest split us off between its everlasting pines. Guess it isn't true that two become one when one of the two is a B-list celebrity in the autograph line.
Hi, I'm Carlene, and you're listening to Carlene Tonight. That was altered by Mom. The song's called A-B-List Celebrity. So I'm just wondering, what was it like to be Joey Jeremiah and then live your own life too as Pat? Like you did your, I guess they say middle school all through high school. You know what I mean? Like that's when you start identifying who you are.
Guys, it's like anything else. Some people take dance classes after school. Some people, take piano classes or whatever. Acting and doing Degrassi felt like a summer camp or an after-school gig. Rehearsals and read-throughs and all that stuff took place after school. Most of the filming took place during the summertime, so the summer months when you were off from school. Back-to-back episodes were rare, where a lead actor would have one episode and then the immediate one afterwards. Like we would take episodes off so that we could either catch up on our schoolwork or make sure that we didn't fall behind. So if Joey was the lead in one episode, the next episode would probably be a twins storyline or something like that. So it never felt like it took over our lives. It was just sort of a part of our lives. And the friends we had on the show were like our friends from school. So, if some of you after school would hang out at a friend's house or on the weekends go and do something, that's kind of what we would do. We would find out if there was a party going on or if somebody wanted to get together and go catch a movie. It was all very innocent back then because we were teenagers ourselves. The nice thing was that we stayed in touch immediately after the series ended for as long as possible, but then everybody kind of went their own ways. And with the whole reunion that's been taking place the last few years, I've welcomed a lot of these people into my home. I've gotten to meet their children, their spouses, and they're all completely different than, there's still parts of us that, are like when we were 20 years old. But obviously there's been a lifetime since we've last seen each other. And it's really, really nice to reacquaint with everyone and see where they're at and how they ended up. But again, I'm really sad that everything happened the way it happened in 2021 or 2020 with COVID, because I was really excited to continue that reunion, that reconnecting with all of them. And basically the only way to do that now is online or through emails and social media. But they're there. They're not going anywhere. Nobody is. You know what I mean? Like there's time. There's time to reacquaint with people, which is really, really lovely. And that's what I'm looking forward to the next few years.
Question about the fans. They followed you for so many years. Why?
Well, you know what? It's kind of like, because we're now all reachable on social media and we have the Degrassi Tour Facebook page and the website, there's a place to gather. There's a place to communicate, and there's a place to mingle and talk to other like-minded people. For me, I always look at the fandom, and I call fans Narbos and Broomheads lovingly because that's what the crew used to call us. So I call the fans Narbos and Broomheads because I think for many of them, they were looking for something they were missing in their own high school experience or in their own lives. And either the characters fill the void or the show itself helped fill a void. A lot of people will say to me or message me on social media, Degrassi was the school I wish I had gone to, or the people on the show were the friends I wish I had growing up. And when I see you guys on social media, when I see you guys make your appearances, it's kind of like a reunion, a high school reunion for me. Because you guys meant more to me than the actual people I went to high school with in real life, in my small town or wherever I grew up. Your characters and touched me personally because I could either relate or I had a friend like a Joey Jeremiah or whatever. And so, again, the fandom is intense. For many, it's like their own high school experience. They remember that more fondly than their actual real life high school experience. And, for many people, they just enjoy the fact that through meeting us online, it gets to continue their interaction with Degrassi. there is no new production or new content being made for Degrassi, but what we offer online is a small little taste of continuing. Like, people love it when they see Stacey Mistitian and I take a photo together, because it's like, Joey and Caitlin are back together. So they get to live a little bit through our real lives, but obviously we're very different from our characters. And that's what Degrassi Palooza was all about, was to show people that we're very different from our characters. Although there are some similarities, over the years, Pat and Joey have separated immensely. They're not the same person. But I highly recommend, if you're a fan of the show and you haven't seen it yet, go to the DegrassiTour.com website, get the link to the Palooza documentary called Narbo's Guide to Being a Broomhead, and there's content, original content there that fans can watch and enjoy. You can rent it or you can download it. It's whatever you want to do. It's very affordable, and like I said, it's brand new content that of all of us telling and sharing our stories and our experiences, and it's a great insight into what it was like, not only for us on the show, but what it was like to have a reunion after 25 years. It was a lot of fun.
And you actually directed that, Pat, didn't you?
Well, direct is a very generous word to use. We had only 3 cameras at the event. I wish I had more. I wish I had wireless mics. There's a lot of things I wish I could have had, but it's better than nothing. I literally just shot the panels. I shot some moments behind the scenes. I incorporated some archival footage that we as kids shot on set back in the day. So that is incorporated as well into the documentary. But it's just a reliving of all the panels, and it's almost kind of like this, like a podcast, yep, but in the settings of a convention. And it was just, like I said, it was wonderful to have 300 people from around the world show up for a multi-day event. And for many of them, it was their high school reunion or pilgrimage to Toronto to come visit the actual filming locations and meet the cast and the crew and get that autograph or that picture or ask that question. It was a very touching moment for me, because many people showed up. Many of the cast, like David Armand Parcells, who played Claude on the original series, he drove in all the way from Detroit with his wife and showed up, and none of us recognized him because he looked completely different. And I was like, David? And it was just like, it was a reunion in the moment at the reunion, which was amazing. So I can't believe I pulled it off, and I can't believe I didn't go broke doing it.
Well, we're glad you didn't go broke doing it. So, question, if things get better as far as the vaccine is concerned, do you plan to have another reunion tour in 2021?
No, unfortunately, Carlene, I'm not allowed to do it. The people who own the trademark, the people that own the name and own the show now, I have no affiliation with them. It's some corporation that owns it all. I'm not actually allowed to use the word Degrassi in anything. And I learned a very valuable lesson about trademark. The lawyers contacted me and said, what are you doing? Well, why are you putting on an event? I said, I'm just here to celebrate my cast, my crew, one of the co-creators, one of the writers. And they're like, yeah, but you're using the word Degrassi. You're not allowed to do that. So I don't know if I'm going to ever do something to that degree of a get together like I did with I hesitantly say the word Degrassi Palooza. I call it Palooza. But to do a reunion without the support of the people who own the copyright was difficult, because it would have been lovely to have their support. But I just did this as a quote unquote fan and put on this event to celebrate the show, to celebrate the people who created the show. And that was it. I even said it's a one-time event. It will never happen again. Unfortunately, we lost one of our co-creators, Kit Hood, only 6 months after the event. He unfortunately suddenly passed away at his home in Nova Scotia. And so, one of the co-creators is gone, unfortunately. But we have that experience of having him at the event and having him share his stories with us, which was absolutely wonderful to be able to see him one last time, but also to celebrate him. And that was my ultimate goal with this event, was to celebrate the unsung heroes from the original cast and crew and give them a moment in the limelight to feel that love from the fans that I had been feeling for years during the tour. I wanted many of my other cast members and creative team to feel that experience as well. And they did. And they were very grateful for that experience.
The one thing that I remember doing research on the show is that, you know how like Seinfeld, Friends, all the other shows, they get royalties. And Degrassi is one of those that you guys as actors, because even when the show is rerunning, you don't make royalties off of it.
There's no residuals at all?
No residuals.
Not on the junior high and high. That was a non-union show. We didn't have agents, and we basically signed our lives away as young performers, or our parents signed our lives away. At the time, we didn't know what we were doing. We obviously didn't know what the show would become or how it would live on for decades afterwards. We were just kids happy to be working on a TV show. So back then, how I would describe it was it gave me a career. It gave me a life I wouldn't have had if it wasn't for the show. And you can't monetize that. You can't put a value on that opportunity that was given to me and other cast members. So the royalties really didn't matter because we got this great career out of being on the show. Nowadays, it's like, no, fuck that. Give me my money. Right? I want my royalties, right? So the next generation, things are a little different. There's actors who have agents and managers, and the parents are a little more savvy. And, the next generation was a completely different ball game. But at the end of the day, we're still not, retired or making crazy coin off of royalties, even with the next generation. We don't make our livings on the royalties. It's once in a while when royalties come in, it's nice. It's a little bonus or whatever. But, I try to stay busy. I try to stay connected to online and social media and promote the things I do. If I'm not working as an actor, I'm working as an agent to other actors that do appearances at conventions, or I create my little screening events and whatnot. And Stacey who played Caitlin, she and I have been having a blast doing these appearances across the country and reconnecting, which has been really, really nice after all these years. And I hope that the nostalgic factor of the show continues for a little while longer, because I hope COVID hasn't crushed it. We all, at this time, in the lives that we're having right now, I think we're all trying to look fondly backwards in time to a simpler time, because we're all trapped in our homes and we can't, gather with our friends and our loved ones. So we're binge watching. We're watching old shows and movies that made us feel comfortable in younger days and from our youth. I know I'm doing that.
I watched Dawson's Creek.
Oh,
right.
man.
I started watching that.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So we're all trying to reconnect to our youth in a simpler time, and when life was good and not so crazy, and we didn't have the internet and all that craziness. So I hope that Degrassi can be a comfort for many people. I hope what we're doing online can be a comfort for many people, and people are willing to engage with us and share with us their stories. And I hope we can keep doing that for as long as possible. But eventually I will get over the whole Degrassi thing and move on with my life. But for right now, it feels good and it feels right to do it. So I will do it for as long as I can.
Joey, you can't let go. Like, you just can't. Oh my gosh, so I gotta say something. I watched an old episode with Stephanie K, and I always resonated with her. I don't know, there was something about her being two people. Like, she would have this look at home, when she's leaving home, she's got that good girl look. And then she would go to school and then she's just with her makeup on. And I always thought that was so cool, but it was so bad at the same time, because she became such a bad friend,
Right.
Yeah. So,
and you used to dress like that at work. I remembered at the office, you would wear the tube top. You'd have the tube top on at work and the neon colored short skirt.
What? You were wearing booty shorts to work?
Now you got your style from.
Oh my gosh. Do you believe it, Matt? Do you really? Do you believe what he's saying?
Now, hold on a second. I'm not sure, Carlene, if you're comfortable bringing this up, but I heard there was a nickname. There was a nickname, wasn't there? No?
Yes, there was. Pat used to call me something, remember?
What, sweet chocolate?
Yes. See?
Okay, this is unpack this for me because that's fantastic.
You like that, huh?
Fantastic, sweet chocolate.
But look at her, she is.
God, she's adorable, just adorable. I mean, fantastic.
Thanks,
Wow.
guys.
So you try to have fun with every moment you can in your day, right? So every little interaction with people that you have throughout your day, even if it's something small like me calling the office to speak to my agent and Carlene would answer, it's just nice to have a little moment with people. I think I learned that when I was doing my convention appearances. You would only have maybe 1 or 2 minutes with each person that would come. Like, they would stand in line, they would come up and they'd shake your hand and get an autograph or a picture and they'd leave. And we learned that those moments were called micro moments in the convention industry. And what I learned was that you only have a brief moment to make an impression that people are going to walk away with and share that experience with their friends and people that they talk to when they leave the event. So what I try to do is I try to remember every time I meet a new fan at a convention that this is their micro moment and this is something they're going to walk away with, even if it's only 30 seconds or a minute, that they're going to remember this experience. They've gone out through all the trouble of driving to the convention, parking, standing in line to get into the convention, standing in line to meet you. They've paid to get an autograph or a selfie taken with you, and they've done all that just for that 30-second moment with you. You got to respect that. You got to, give back and appreciate that and give that moment of looking in their eyes and giving them that experience. And again, we call that the micro moment. And that's what I tried to explain to all my friends when we did Degrassi Palooza. It was like, all these people have gone through a great deal of trouble and great expense to come to this event to meet you. Please give them that moment that they're going to walk away with. And they did. All my friends, when we did Palooza, they all did it. They were all fantastic with their fans. But I try to do that in my everyday life, even if it's a short moment that you have with somebody walking down the street or at the grocery store or whatever. We all have our lives. We all have our issues. We all have our baggage and the shit that we're going through in our lives and whatnot. If you can give somebody a 30-second micro moment that makes them walk away going, oh my God, that was so nice, or that was so amazing or unexpected, or that put a smile on my face, then that's a good thing. And now imagine if millions of people did that around the world every day and had micro moments like that every day. How much better this world would be, if we could all just understand and appreciate that everybody has their own thing and that it's not about you. Everything in life is not about you. So, a moment with you calling in the office going, hey, sweet chocolate, how you doing? Like, it's silly.
Oh, great.
But it's something you remembered, right? It's something that meant something, and it was a nice moment for you, and that's fun, right? So
Yeah.
I hope to recreate many micro moments in the future with fans and loved ones and people once this whole thing ends with COVID. But yeah, it's a real thing. It's an amazing thing, and I'll tell you why I learned this. Kevin Smith taught me a valuable lesson. Because he said to me on stage in front of 5,000 people, he said, Pat, we met many, many years ago, back in 1990 in Vancouver when I was a student, a film student. And you were doing an appearance with a couple of other Degrassi members. And I came up to you, I stood in line, and I came up to you to get your autograph. And I said, I want to be a filmmaker one day. I'm a writer, and I hope to make my own movies. And Degrassi, is exactly the style of filmmaking that I want to do in terms of writing for characters and whatnot. And he just looked like a normal guy to me, right? And even though I don't remember this moment, he remembers this moment. He said to me that I blew him off. And I said, yeah, good luck with that. And he literally was like, oh, okay. But honestly, I said, Kevin, I would never speak to somebody like that. But he said to me, no, you were not rude to me, but you were dismissive in the sense that, oh, you're just another guy who wants to be a filmmaker. I'm like, dude, I wouldn't do that to you. So we had this banter back and forth, but he remembers his micro moment differently than obviously I did. And he took away from that experience as like, you know what? He doesn't believe in me. Screw him. I'm going to do it anyways. And he obviously pursued his career and did very, very well. Created Clerks and all that fun stuff. And I joke with him to this day. I'm like, dude, I could have been in Clerks. Is that what you're saying? I could have been Ben Affleck.
And he's like, nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
right? Yeah. So, we've bumped into each other many, many times over the years. Obviously, he came and did his experience on Degrassi. I think his little revenge to me was to split up Caitlin and Joey when he had his Jay and Silent Bob do Degrassi experience. So ultimately, he got his revenge on me by breaking up Caitlin and Joey. But I think it's funny. It's all good. Like, we all joke, we laugh about it today. But yeah, he told me that his micro moment with me pissed him off enough that he went and he went off and he's a really great director. So really, he owes his entire career to me, if you think about it.
You heard it here first.
I'm just saying.
But they do say that thing that first impressions are everything. So that's the first impression that you give someone. I guess it goes a long way. Like, even years later, he still remembers that. Like, he's not letting go of it, right? So
exactly. And he's already told me, like, he has no grudges against me about the whole experience. But I'm like, dude, so now I'm very aware and I'm very conscious of every little moment I'm having with people, even though I'm tired, even though it's been a long day or whatever. Like, it's so hard to be aware, but you have to in our industry when you're in that environment of conventions and appearances and whatnot. So I try harder than I did in my youth. And again, not to run on, I know we have limited time, but I had my micro moment with Michael J. Fox a couple of years ago at Fan Expo, where I got introduced to Mr. Fox after a long day of meeting fans. He was doing his thing, and one of the organizers said, "Would you like to meet him?" I'm like, "Dude, are you freaking kidding me? He's my idol. Like, I grew up wanting to be him as an actor. He is really the ultimate performer for me in terms of what I was trying to emulate." And so I basically got to meet him, shake his hand, say thank you, and tell him that he, motivated or inspired me as a young actor. And I emulated him on Degrassi Junior High. That's why Joey had a skateboard. A lot of my mannerisms on the show and a lot of things I did character-wise were based on, in my head, going, how would Michael J. Fox play this? How would Michael J. Fox play Joey Jeremiah? And that's how because I didn't know how to act. Nobody taught me how to act. I just was on the job learning it as I went. I had the ability to memorize dialogue, which was a gift. And unfortunately, I no longer have that gift. But at the time, I knew how to memorize. I knew how to hit my mark. I knew how to, walk through a scene, but how to actually act and be in the moment were things I had to learn on the job. And Michael J. Fox was sort of like, the guy I would look up to as this short Canadian actor. I was like, oh, I'm just like him. So I tried to be like him. And I was a big fan of Back to the Future.
Who wasn't?
Who wasn't, right? Yeah, but did you own a DeLorean?
No. No. Did you?
I literally bought a DeLorean because I freaking loved the movie so much. And I wanted to be Michael J. Fox. So I literally would sit in the DeLorean and drive around in the DeLorean. I'd be like, I'm fucking Michael J. Fox. So like, that's how much he meant to me as not only as a mentor, but just, everybody wanted to be in Michael, everyone wanted to be Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. Right. So, but I had the car for a few years and then I sold it. So that's what we do with DeLoreans. You are the keeper of the DeLorean for a few years and then you give it to the next sucker who takes care of it.
Pay it forward.
You pay it forward. So.
Oh my goodness, a DeLorean. Wow. Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Larger Than the Ribs by Altered by Mom.
Is it worse to be hurt in the heart or the brain?
Or the mind? I don't mind, but I'll sing just the same.
It's a pain in the head, in the ass, it'll pass.
Is it truth? Is it lies? Do we grow? Will we die?
Do we drown or get shot? Maybe choke on the smoke?
Maybe hang by our necks? What the heck? All the same.
Do we hug? Do we kiss? Do we even exist? Are you pissed? Are you mad? I can't tell what this is. 'Cause my heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is looking for a heart, looking for a heart that will take it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs We had fun, I can't sleep in the dark.
This is short, one treat. If you are what you eat,
Then I'm lost in the fog, acting young, feeling old.
are you cold? Was it real? Was it pain? Only trick?
If you give, I would take little space for mistakes. My missteps, I'm aware, but sometimes I can't. Cause my heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is looking for a heart, looking for a heart that will take it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. Larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is looking for a heart, looking for a heart that will take it. My heart is larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs that contain it. Larger than the ribs, larger than the ribs.
Hi, I'm Carlene, and you're listening to Carlene Tonight. Tonight we feature Altered by Mom. The song is Larger Than the Ribs. The band's been together since 2016, and you can check them out on Spotify, on Facebook, and Twitter, Altered by Mom. I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. We have Pat Mastroianni of Degrassi talking about his life on the show, his career, and now life during COVID inside.
Exactly. I was hoping that I had something here for you, but I don't. I'll have to look for it later. I had these little Stephanie K buttons. That,
oh my God!
Yeah, I have
You're gonna send that to me?
The vote for Stephanie K
Vote for
buttons.
Stephanie K. Oh my God, that is just awesome.
Now that you've told me that you're a huge fan of Stephanie K, I'll have to send one over to you.
Yeah, I'm your fan too, Joey. You're always the cool kid, you know.
That's
I always thought you were so cool. Like Joey's so cool, but even though he's like nerdy with these crazy little one-liners, you know.
You know, that's Yan Moore. That's all Yan Moore, our head writer. He wrote all those silly little one-liners, and whenever Joey would talk in the mirror, like, "Oh, you're going to be the coolest guy at Degrassi," like all this weird crap. I'm like, where does he pull this stuff out of his ass? Like, honestly, he came up with so many cool one-liners for the show that, and a lot of things that stuck. You know, a lot of things that people remembered about certain characters, and like that was all him. And that was definitely one of the things I wanted to celebrate when we did the reunion, was that, Yan Moore, this one man, created this universe, this world with all these dynamic characters. And yeah, he had other people help with the writing, and the producers were involved as well. And even the actors themselves contributed to the development of their own characters. He still had to write it all. He still had to, create these amazing storylines and plot lines that sometimes spanned over seasons, not just one or two episodes. But you got the Spike storyline all the way from junior high throughout high and whatnot. He had some amazing vision and was able to create the base of the story arc, and then hand it over to us, where we would sort of put our own spin on things and our own performance and our own, take on what he wrote. And it somehow all meshed in really, really well with the vision of the director and the other people that worked on the show, to ultimately make this sort of, CBC homegrown, simple kind of, show that wasn't polished at all. Like, you talk about 90210, they had it all polished, and they had the beautiful actors and the beautiful clothing and the nice cars, and everything was slick and sharp, where our show felt very inner city, grungy, people walk to school. But again, we looked like normal kids in a high school, as opposed to everybody being blonde, blue-eyed, and beautiful. We had every race represented on the show. And the nice thing was is that they weren't just the tokens. They were, characters with serious storylines, like the Yik Yu character, or, the Diana character that's struggling with her older brother who's trying to keep her from going out after school with her friends, like things like that. Because, and we had that conversation at the reunion event, like, did Degrassi do enough to represent different cultures and different backgrounds? Like, yeah, we had black, white, all that stuff, but there's a lot of in between as well. And did we do enough to highlight those things? And I think we did okay. We could every show could do better, but I think we did okay for the time that we shot the show in, and the budget, and we were a 22-minute show when you take away all the commercials and whatnot. A 22 to 23-minute show that tackled all these heavy-duty topics week after week. And that's all Yan Moore right there. And that's why I gave him the Narbo Award at the event. I had a friend of mine create a bunch of lockers, and we called it the Narbo Award, and presented it to him for a lifetime achievement. And he was just like, I had to keep it a secret, because if I told him prior to the event that I was going to do this, he wouldn't have come. That's how shy he is. For the guy who wrote so much and put so much dialogue in the mouths of all of our characters, the guy's a man of few words in real life. So God bless him. And I was just happy to put a spotlight on him at the event.
Yeah, wow. It's the creative minds, right?
It really is, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We get the glory. because we were the faces that people saw every week. But there was so many people that worked behind the scenes that helped make this show really what it was. And that was, even the people that were in charge of the art department and the clothing, the costumes and whatnot, they had a big role to play on the show too. Because if you look at Degrassi, if you look at, all the banners and all the way the show had a sense of the style, and the wardrobes that we wore, that was all them. Like, we didn't pick our wardrobe. We didn't dress ourselves. That was them doing all that. Now, we gave them shit half the time for it. Like, do you have to shop at Value Village? Do you have to go to Goodwill? Can you not buy some name brand stuff for us? Yeah. This wasn't in the budget.
Oh, no. So we didn't even see, I didn't even know that, right? The things that, that you guys are wearing. Wow. Tight budget at that time. But that show was ahead of its time. You brought, like you said, there's so many things that were brought up on that show. You know what I mean? You learn about AIDS and having a baby when Spike got pregnant, like all those things. You touched on like everything. And we, like you said, if you weren't in a household where your parents taught you those things or spoke about it, like you learned about it on Degrassi. And, it was an educational show.
Yeah, because at that age, when you're 13, 14, 15 and up, like, you may not have all the information. You may feel with your friends that you know what you're talking about, or if your friends are sharing their own personal experiences, they may not have all the information. So at least when our show discussed a certain topic or issue, we tried to give a well-rounded and balanced idea of what we were talking about, so that you had both sides of the story. And people could then walk away from that and make their own decision if it was right for them to drink or do drugs or whatever. We weren't trying to be preachy. We were just trying to give you all the information you needed. That's why the twins were a great pair of characters to have in any episode. And that's why they were usually floating around being friends with Lucy or Spike or Stephanie K or whatever, because they were the yin and the yang of the storyline. If there was something going on, you'd have one twin saying, "Oh, that's a great idea," and the other twin would say, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Like, they were a perfect balance for any storyline, so that we could discuss both sides of any issue that was. So if you watch the series now with that in mind, you'll see, oh my God, the twins are always, the different opinions of a certain topic.
Matt, do you have any more questions for
Yeah,
Pat?
no, I was going to ask. Now, he made a brief mention, Pat, you made a brief mention about Kit Hood, and I wanted to ask your thoughts on, because from what I read, like there was a little bit of flack for him getting this thing made, as well as with the topics that, you guys were covering. That was considered to be a little bit, again, cutting edge on the forefront, maybe not palatable by certain people. What was it like working with him?
Kit Hood was the captain on set. You know what I mean? Like, he ran the ship and he gave the orders. He was an actor's director because he came from England with a theater background. He was a child actor in the theater. And so he understood character development. He understood pulling performances from his actors, and he knew how to articulate that in a way that a young actor can understand. One of the things he taught us was to be in the moment and not to act, but to react. So he taught us the skills on set that we needed to do what we did. Sometimes he would try to manipulate us. So, for example, if my character needed to be extremely serious in a scene, but I was feeling giddy that day and I couldn't do my performance without laughing, or I couldn't keep a straight face for whatever reason, because at the time I was still blown away that I was an actor, and I would sometimes stop in the scene and in my head going, holy fuck, all this is happening right now and it's focused on me. And I would giggle. I would think it's funny that like all these cameras are here and all these people are working. And I was like, oh my God, I'm actually an actor on a show. And I would get giddy and I would, not be able to keep a straight face. So Kit would get mad and he would berate me and be like, Pat, stop it. And I would like get all serious and be like, oh my God. And then so he knew how to have a conversation with a teenager to make us understand, to make us better performers. But he was firm, but he was a good director. And, in terms of, he didn't do any of the behind the scenes stuff with the accounting and the producing. That was all Linda Schuyler, but Kit was the guy on set that made everything happen on set. So to have that energy, to have that positivity, to have that creativity was awesome. Like, he was really the driving force when it came to being on set and filming and what he was able to pull out of all of us as actors. That was something that I wanted to make sure the world knew and understood, was that, he really was the creative and driving force of the entire junior high and high series. And obviously Schools Out, he was the man behind that as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I do hope that, unfortunately we weren't able to honor him this year in Toronto. We wanted to do something that was not public, but we wanted to be able to invite our cast and our crew and the people who were around back then to have a moment to celebrate him and memorialize him in Toronto with his family. But unfortunately, because of COVID, we couldn't do that this year. So I do pray that in 2021, we'll be able to have some kind of gathering as a group, as a family, and celebrate him the way he should be here in Toronto.
So cheers to 2021, everyone.
Okay.
Well, we are running out of time, Pat. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Thanks, Matt, for joining me. And I hope that, the rest of the year goes well for you. And hopefully 2021 will be the year that things will get better, right?
Let's do it, please.
I hope so, guys. I really do. And I hope that everything works out well for you guys and for this podcast. I hope it gets a lot of views. Thank you so much for letting me be on and for putting up with me. But the last thing I'm going to say to everybody watching at home right now is thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today and watching this podcast. I hope you walk away with a little something that you didn't know about us before. But yeah, check us out on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. The website is degrassitour.com. And if you get a chance, maybe watch our little documentary, The Narvos Guide to Being a Broomhead.
Yes, please watch the documentary. Purchase it. It's cheap. It's affordable, right?
It is.
Oh, it's $9.99. Are you kidding me? Who doesn't have $3.99? You can rent it for 48 hours and watch it that way. It's a fun little journey into the past, and definitely a throwback to a simpler time.
Definitely. Thanks, Pat. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Carlene Tonight.
My heart is larger than the ribs that contain it. My heart is larger than the ribs that contain it.